Hey guys, Brandon here from Brightside. I would actually just like to bring this video to attention. It's actually something that I've been wanting to do, a video like this for quite a while. It's been something that I've been trying to think of a good reason to make a video such as this. And I figured this would actually be a very interesting topic, as I've seen things flourish ever since this got released or even really touched upon. And it's something that I kind of wanted to see if I could address. Just to see if people would actually listen and see how it goes. I don't know if I'll ever do a video like this again. If I do, then it might be on something really relative or dumb. Who cares? But today we're here to talk about Resident Evil 7's demo teaser. It actually just got announced as a full-fledged game at E3. Well, at this point it's 3:25 where I live, so it would have been most likely yesterday, last night. And a lot of people got to see the full interactive announcement trailer that they actually had at the showcase. Now, a lot of people didn't actually realize that anything big was going to happen. I, for one, didn't actually even see the showcase for E3. I ended up going to PlayStation's official channel and seeing a lot of the trailers that they showed, including God of War, Horizon, all of that. But that's when I found out that they actually did something for Resident Evil 7. So naturally I was super excited and I wanted to see what they were doing, because I'm not a particularly huge fan of Resident Evil by any means. Resident Evil 4 was the first game that I played in the series that I actually looked at and loved. I did play 5 and I did play 6. Wasn't a huge fan. Went back and tried to play 1. Haven't really done anything with it just yet. Really am saving that for a first-time playthrough that we are actually doing on the channel, but more on that later. Essentially, I wanted to address something that I've seen a lot of people actually talking about when it comes to things like this demo seeming a little familiar. There's a lot of people also saying that the teaser itself, as well as the announcement, are coming off very PT-ish. Like, what the hell? This isn't Resident Evil, and what the hell? What are you guys doing? This isn't Resident Evil at all. This is Silent Hill. Things like that continuously pop up on my Facebook feeds. Anytime I see this trailer or video pretty much showcased anywhere, it's usually referred back to PT, which, for any of you who actually know what those two initials stood for, during the Silent Hills initial launch, when it came to actually having this demo playable, it stood for playable teaser. PT, playable teaser. Now, what a lot of people don't seem to get is that with the playable teaser that Silent Hills had, it was basically just showcasing a small tidbit of what the potential story of Silent Hills could have been. It wasn't anything really drastic. It wasn't showcasing what the gameplay really was. It wasn't showcasing anything really immersive into the story or anything like that. It was basically just dropping you in an unknown area. You know absolutely nothing. Everything is cryptically done and hidden for you. It really told you nothing. You have no idea what's going on, and you probably won't. And unfortunately, none of us probably will at all, because Konami. But essentially, I wanted to bring that to the table when it comes to RE7. I've been seeing a lot of people complaining that this is going to ruin Resident Evil. I want to bring something up very clear and very obvious. Resident Evil, I don't think, is a series that will ever die. And of course, that's not an intentional zombie pun, so please don't hurt me. But essentially what I wanted to say is that a lot of people are saying this teaser is very stupid. I've seen a lot of people come out and pretty much say that it sucks. And I actually just finished playing it. This is actually pretty much a first impressions, as well as me sitting down and really kind of bringing my mind out a little bit. I actually rather enjoyed it. I loved it. I honestly thought it was really great. And the biggest thing is that I was seeing these comments before I played. So I was looking at it and I'm like, what are you guys talking about? You guys realize it's a demo, right? And you realize it's a teaser. And from what I'm seeing, from what I've heard of it beforehand, I'm pretty sure that it's probably going to be a lot like PT. And that's it. I don't think it's gonna be anything else. Like, before even going in, I had that feeling. I had that feeling in my heart, because yeah, Capcom has made some rather big mistakes in the past with Resident Evil. But I don't hold that against them. They tried to change the game into something they thought was a good idea. Was it a great idea? No. A lot of the fans pretty much downright hated it. I, for one, wasn't a huge fan after RE4, anything that came after it, as I mean. But honestly, I enjoyed Resident Evil 5, not because it was Resident Evil, but just because I actually enjoyed it a little bit. It wasn't the best game I've ever played, but it certainly wasn't the worst. Then I played Resident Evil 6. Ryan and I both ended up getting Resident Evil 6 on sale at GameStop for like $3 or something like that. And we played like maybe 30 minutes of it and never went back. So that's kind of how that boils down. Now, as for this teaser being bad, I don't think it's bad. I think it's just people were expecting it to be more informative. They were pretty much expecting it to be everything that the announcement at E3 didn't tell them. And that's the case with something like this, especially from what I've seen of E3 so far, where it's no longer details. It's like, come to E3 to announce the announcement that we will announce at a later date. Why? I mean, yeah, I can understand why that's pretty annoying, and yeah, I can understand from, Capcom's perspective that maybe this was just a better idea. Maybe they needed this to help push forward the idea that Resident Evil is still here. It's still relevant, and we're still trying to do things for you guys, as in the fans, to actually bring you guys back and to realize that, hey, guess what? This is going back to being something that you guys really wanted. And yeah, I can understand a lot of people being upset by the playable teaser. I was about to call it PT. But it's just a demo, guys. For those of you who are actually seeing it as something to hate, something to not enjoy, just remember that it's just a demo. Even at the very beginning of the demo, and I'm pretty sure I'll have it on screen, it's literally a screen that says something along the lines of, this is not the final product, there is no support, like, don't come crying, basically don't bitch to us because it's not the final product. Don't worry about it. It's not done. Don't worry. Seriously, guys, don't worry. But essentially, that's how it breaks down. I mean, you guys, people just need to just chill out, look at it for what it is and not for what you expected it to be. Yes, it doesn't really explain much. The teaser itself was very, very... It is very atmospheric. I'm just going to be completely honest. I think it's probably one of the best things I've played, and I have played PT. I played them both. Although I don't really care too much about really how PT was done. I do think Hideo Kojima is a pretty freaking awesome guy, and I liked where I thought that game was going to end up becoming Silent Hills, because I was actually really looking forward to a Silent Hill game that I had never played before, because I have not played the originals, although I do really want to. I'm not gonna lie, but Silent Hills actually made me excited for a horror game that wasn't going to be a Slender clone or a Five Nights at Freddy's clone or anything like that, because the market is oversaturated with games that just don't really do anything anymore. They follow the same formula. Walk in this seemingly endless forest and collect some dude's art project, or sit in one spot and don't let the boogeyman get you, or it's kind of the same saturated formula, and I'm actually happy to see companies going out of their way to try to bring us something a bit more original, or at least original in a certain way, I guess. But just remember, it's a teaser, guys. It's not something that you have to just throw out and go, well, Resident Evil's done. We're finished, guys. It's no longer relevant. We're all just pack up, go home, round up next week. It's not like that. Take it for what PT was, not for what Resident Evil is going to most likely go back to. And what I basically mean by that is just chill. Let them finish the game and let them go from there. As for the people who have actually played it, like myself, and enjoyed it, there wasn't much there, and honestly, it doesn't really explain too much at all. there was a line at the very end that says the family will arrive in like late 2017, if I remember right. That's how it was quoted. I'll probably put that on screen too, who gives a shit. But what does that mean? From what I've understood of the Resident Evil universe is that the world's pretty much fucked. So what's going on? Who is the family? Why am I in this creepy ass house that just has shit going on? Why is there nasty food on the table? Ugh, roaches. But essentially what it bogs down to is that the whole mess and the whole slew of this entire area, you have no idea what's going on. And a lot of the times the atmosphere itself was fantastic. I even had several times where I literally just scared the shit out of myself because I hear my own footsteps walking and I could swear there's like somebody following me. There was several points where just noises of the physics of things in the game go off and I'm like, what the fuck? And I turn around and I'm like, holy shit. The premise for being even in the house, I didn't quite understand it, but again, we don't really know what the actual plot will be to RE7, so we don't really know exactly who these people are, how they relate to the main game, if they relate at all. Maybe they're just some people that just show up. And who knows? I mean, maybe this could actually harken back to maybe something Leon related, or maybe even a brand new character, which would be pretty cool. Because in RE4, I mean, you pretty much dealt with this really messed up cult style group of individuals that basically used the virus to, you know, if you ever played Resident Evil 4, we all know what the regenerators are, and those things are terrible. But essentially, what if the family is just that? Like, what if it's just another form of something like a cult that Leon faced in RE4, or some other variation of that? Like, don't assume that the game is terrible just yet. Give it a chance, guys. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. Other than that, what about the game itself? Like, what did the demo actually show me? Well, the demo itself didn't show too much of something that gave me an idea of what the game would be about, because again, it's just a teaser. It's not really supposed to show us too much, but I feel like it's very theory baited. It's one of those kinds of demos that makes you basically try to figure out who these people are, how they relate, things like that. It basically does exactly what PT did. It places you in this world to try to figure out like who you are as the player, what caused that area to just be on a constant loop. Why is this woman chasing you and then snapping your neck and then sucking your dick? I mean, what does this pertain to? Who are you? Of course, you find out later in the actual demo that you're a cameraman, or at least you assume you're the cameraman. You end up finding a tape that showcases you on what I would assume some sort of reality show base, where you meet up with a cocky bastard of a host and his quote-unquote producer. The producer ends up, more or less, just, you know, we'll go from there. You pretty much should know how that plays out. Then you end up getting captured. Well, at the very end of the demo is when things start to get interesting, and something that I actually kind of saw and I was like, oh, well, holy crap, that's kind of cool. Because at the very end is when you see your producer cutting your binds, because you've both been captured, cutting the binds, and as soon as you've cut the binds, or as soon as he's about to cut the binds, he drops the knife, and then all of a sudden you see just a small tidbit of a figure coming towards you, coming towards him, I apologize, from behind, and next thing you know, he gets stabbed from behind, and you can clearly hear a very animalistic woman's like growls and like groans, and just, it's very, very, very RE4 to RE5-ish in terms of the way the character itself sounded. And then he gets removed from the knife, and the next thing you know, you don't even really see the character until she does like this obvious like paranormal activity lunge, and then it freeze frames on a very blurry picture of what she is supposed to look like in her facial region, and then it just cuts to that black screen where it's like the family, you know, all that jazz. But it's a very interesting take on what Resident Evil as a franchise wants to try to bring back to the table. They really want to go back to their roots and show off, look at this horror setting. Now, me personally, I've watched and I have even tried playing the old Resident Evil games, and compared to today's standards, when I've actually gone back and seen what they did, I never really saw them as scary, and I didn't really do much with them. Is that to say that they're bad and they don't hold up today? No, absolutely not. It's just, I guess, a difference in taste. For me, a game that's horrifying may not be the same to somebody else. Now, a lot of people that grew up with PlayStations, of course I was not one of those kids. I know, I'm a heathen. But I didn't grow up with a PlayStation, so for me, Resident Evil started with Resident Evil 4, and it started on Xbox 360 when they re-released it. I didn't play the original games. I didn't play 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, any of those. I didn't play them. I've seen people play Resident Evil 2. I've seen full playthroughs of 0. Do I think they're bad games? No, I don't. I don't even think that they're really not scary either. I actually think that for that point in time, that was what horror was defined as. And that series defined what survival horror should have been, as well as Silent Hill, which is why I feel like so many people are assuming that it's this trailer or this teaser, this PT as it were, is compared so often to the PT for Silent Hills. You gotta know that both of these games defined what survival horror was in two tiny to major different ways. Resident Evil had guns, you could fight back, while in Silent Hill, most of the time you really didn't want to fight, or you just ran because shit's scary, bro. Bottom line, though, is that both of the games are identical in premise, but neither of them would have ended up that way either way. Silent Hills most likely would have not have been in a first-person perspective. It most likely wouldn't have been anywhere close to the PT demo that came out after PT was pretty much shown off to the public. It's not anything like that, and I have at least a 98% guarantee that Resident Evil 7 will not at all be in first person and showcase anything similar to that, because I saw a lot of people alongside the people that are saying it's just like PT, blah blah blah. A lot of people also compared it to typical YouTuber scares and stuff like that. And to be fair, yeah, it did come off as like one of those basically have PewDiePie or Markiplier or Dashie or any of those bigger YouTubers to go on, play this game that will literally millions of people will see, to have them freak out over something that will end up literally being the idea for Resident Evil 7 to showcase what that game will do. But anyway, this is Brandon, and thank you, and I will see you guys in the next video.